Welcome to Lost Relation Chronicles. I'm struggling to process just how badly I messed up, and honestly, I don't know how to fix my relationship. I feel like I'm on the verge of losing something truly special, and I'm terrified. My name is Daisy. I'm 29 years old, and my husband Philip is the same age. We've been married for about 3 years. But we've actually been together since high school. Yeah, we're one of those couples. High school sweethearts and all. Philip has always put me first. He's an incredible partner, the kind of guy who seems too good to be true. He's thoughtful, romantic, and always there for me no matter what. Whether it's something small or something serious. He's the first person I turn to. And the truth is, he's never been selfish. He never complains, never hesitates to drop everything if I need him, and goes out of his way to make me happy. He takes care of me in ways I never even realized I needed until he came into my life. I know it sounds cliché, but I'm not exaggerating when I say he's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And yet, the painful truth is, I never truly appreciated it enough. I've always known how lucky I am to have Philip. He's the kind of partner most people spend their whole lives searching for: kind, caring, thoughtful, and someone who doesn't just say he loves me, but shows it in all the little consistent ways that matter most. But despite knowing this, I've taken him for granted. Maybe it's because we've been together for so long since we were just kids that I started to expect he'd always be there, always picking up the pieces when things went wrong, always making sure I was okay, always doing all those little things that made me fall in love with him in the first place. I got so used to it, so used to him putting me first, that it became automatic. Like I just assumed he'd always keep doing it. No matter what, somewhere along the way, I forgot something important. He's human. He has feelings, limits, and needs of his own. And the worst part is I've aged him without even realizing it. I never stopped to consider that maybe Philip would get tired of always being the one to give, that he might feel taken for granted. I let myself believe that because he never complained, because he always carried himself with that calm, understanding demeanor. He was okay with it. I assumed he would always brush things off, keep smiling, and continue on no matter what. But now, after what I've done, I finally see the truth. Philip is human. My actions have consequences. The issue is Philip has never been conventionally attractive. And I don't mean that in a purely superficial way, or at least, I hope it doesn't come off that way. But it's the truth. He has a beautiful soul. He's the kind of person who would drop everything to help someone who always puts others before himself. He's been an incredible husband, and yet I've struggled with this unspoken shallow shame about how he looks something. I'm so ashamed to even admit I know how awful that sounds. I feel guilty even putting it into words. But it's the reality I've been hiding from. There's always been this little voice in the back of my mind. A voice I've tried to ignore that has made me feel embarrassed, ashamed, even not because of who he is, but because he isn't the kind of guy who turns heads when we walk into a room. It's not something I consciously dwell on, but it lingers, this undercurrent of feeling like he's not good enough. Physically, even though in every other way that matters, he's more than enough. He doesn't stand out by society's standards. He's not tall, not traditionally handsome. Doesn't have those striking features you see in magazines or on social media. And for the longest time I told myself it didn't matter. I believed it didn't. But now I realize that somewhere along the way, I let this shallow part of me take hold. Let it affect how I treated him when we first started dating. I never thought about his looks that much back in high school. None of this seemed to matter. We were young, caught up in love, having fun and growing together. But as we got older, as life moved forward, insecurities started creeping in. Insecurities about how others saw us, how they saw him. I began noticing the glances, or at least I thought I did. Maybe it was all in my head, but it felt real when we were at a party or just out in public. I could feel people looking at us, at him, wondering how we ended up together. That discomfort grew over time, this nagging sense that I wanted to be proud to show him off. Yet instead I found myself avoiding situations where his appearance might be judged at social events. I'd make little jokes about his looks, small jabs, that in the moment felt harmless or playful. But deep down, I knew they were masking my own insecurities. I'd laugh it off, brush it away, and he'd laugh with me. But every time I could feel something in our relationship tear just a little bit more. The worst part is that I let this insecurity turn into cruelty, something I didn't fully realize until recently. There were moments like when we took group pictures where I'd make some stupid comment about how Philip always ruins the photo, or how he's just not camera-friendly. It would get a few chuckles, but I'd see the way his expression faltered just for a second. Or when we were with friends and the topic of physical attraction came up, I'd casually joke that I didn't exactly marry Philly. For his looks, it was meant to be playful, but I could feel the tension in him every time. What makes it even worse is that I've always known on some level that he's insecure about his appearance. He's never talked about it much, but I can see it in the way he avoids mirrors and how he dislikes having his photo taken, in the way he never quite believes me when I tell him he looks good, which if I'm being honest, I rarely do. I failed him in that way, and now as I finally admit it to myself, I realize just how deep the damage goes. I've taken advantage of his kindness and forgiveness, allowing my own insecurities about how others might receive us to overshadow the truth of who he is and who he is, his heart, his character, his unwavering. Love is so much more important than anything as superficial as looks. He's the man who has stood by me through everything, who always puts me first, who loves me, without hesitation, flaws and all. And yet, I've been the one tearing him down over something, so shallow that it doesn't even matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm a stay-at-home wife now. But before that, I worked in an office back then. I had a life outside of Philip. My career, my coworkers, my social media presence, all of which I kept separate from him. The truth is, I refused to let him be part of any of it. I never brought him to work, events, never introduced him to my colleagues, not because he didn't want to be there or wasn't supportive, but because I was ashamed I didn't want my coworkers to meet him, to see him, to know he was my husband. Even admitting that now makes me cringe. But it's the truth. It wasn't just work. I took it even further. I avoided letting coworkers follow me on social media, create a barrier between my professional life and my life with Philip. I made excuses claiming I was private or selective, but the reality was that I didn't want them to come across any photos of us together and realize that this man, this wonderful, kind, selfless man, was my husband. The few photos of us I had posted were old from before I started intentionally keeping him out of my online presence. As for newer ones, I refused to share them, and whenever he asked why I would brush it off, telling him he wasn't photogenic, or that his looks didn't fit the aesthetic I was trying to maintain online. It's awful to admit, but I outright told him that his appearance didn't match the image I wanted to project. And what hurts the most is how much Philip accepted those little jabs, how he internalized them, how he tried not to make it a big deal, even though I know deep down it must have hurt him more than he ever let on. Every time I made an excuse, I was essentially telling him he wasn't good enough to be seen with me. And somehow he just accepted it, never arguing, never pushing back. He trusted me completely. And I used that trust to hide him away. All because I was too insecure about how others might judge us. And it wasn't just my coworkers, even with my friends, the ones who weren't mutual friends with Philip. I hesitated to introduce him. There was a particular group, my more superficial friends, the ones who always commented on appearances and seemed obsessed with how people looked whenever we had gatherings. I would find reasons why Philly couldn't come, and on the occasions when he did, I was constantly on edge, worried about what they might think or say. I never voiced these worries to Philip, but they hovered over me every time we were in social situations. With that group I felt embarrassed, even though they never said anything outright, and in my discomfort, I would solely distance myself from him, standing a little farther away, avoiding physical contact, as if somehow that would make me seem less connected. To him, in their eyes, I thought I was being discreet. But looking back, I was probably as transparent as glass. I avoided public displays of affection, especially around people I knew would judge. I wouldn't hold his hand. In public, wouldn't stand too. Close, I told myself it was about respecting personal space or not wanting to be overly affectionate in front of others, but the truth was far worse. I didn't want people to see us together and make the connection that I was with someone who didn't fit society's standards of attractiveness. I wasn't just ashamed of Philip. I was ashamed of myself, ashamed of the person I had become, someone so consumed by how others perceived me that I couldn't even stand by the man who loved me unconditionally. It wasn't just about Philip's looks. My insecurity ran deeper than that. I was terrified of judgment, of not fitting into the image I had created for myself, and in my fear I pushed him away. The worst part is Philip never made me feel ashamed of myself. He never criticized me, never made me feel like I wasn't good enough. He was always proud of me, always supportive, always the first to compliment me, to cheer me on, and what did I do in return? I hid him away. I treated him like a secret. I didn't want anyone to discover. I let my own insecurities dictate how I treated him, and in doing so I hurt the one person who was always there for me now. Looking back on all the times I distanced myself from him, all the times I made excuses, all the times I refused to bring him along, I realize just how much damage I've done. It makes me sick to think about it now, to see just how wrong I was. I let my vanity and fear of judgment overshadow what should have been a loving, supportive partnership. I took Philip's love and loyalty for granted, and instead of being proud to be with him, I let my own shame poison our relationship. I wish I could take it all back. I wish I could go back to every work event, every social gathering, every photo I refused to post, and just be proud of Philip, proud of us. But I can't. All I can do now is admit how horribly I treated him, and hope that somehow there's a way to fix the damage I've done. But I guess Philip finally had enough. All this time, I thought I could say whatever I wanted, do whatever I wanted, and he would just take it. He had always been calm, collected, the kind of person who never lost his temper. I had known him since high school, and that was just who Philly was, the guy who would quietly smile, shake his head, and let things slide. I was the emotional one, the one who wore my heart on my sleeve, who would get upset and snap when things didn't go my way, and Philip, he was supposed to be my anchor, the one who never let anything faze him. I think deep down, I believe that no matter what I said or did, he would always be there, that he loved me enough to overlook everything, that he would never snap, never get tired of me. But I was wrong. I pushed him too far, and it finally happened. He snapped. It was during a pre-party with our friends. We were all hanging out, drinking, laughing, the usual. I was feeling good, riding the high of the night, and then I made the mistake of taking it too far. We were all gathered in Jake's apartment, sprawled across his couch and floor, laughing over half-told stories and inside jokes. Philip sat next to me, as he always did, quietly sipping his drink, never the loudest voice in the room, but always present, always supportive, and then without thinking, I opened my mouth. You guys ever notice how Philip kind of looks like that frog from The Princess and the Frog? I said, grinning, my voice just loud enough to be heard over the chatter. Laughter erupted, encouraging, inviting. Oh my God. Daisy! Emily! Howled, nearly spilling her drink. You did not just say that, but am I wrong? I pressed on, smirking. Tell me you don't see it, that wide mouth, the big eyes. He's practically a cartoon. Even Jake, who usually tried to play nice, was chuckling, shaking his head. Head, damn. Now I can't unsee it. Philip, man, you got that Disney prince gone wrong energy. Philip shifted slightly in his seat, but said nothing, just giving a small, polite smile. The same smile he always had when he was letting things slide. But I wasn't done. I turned to the group, my confidence bolstered by the alcohol and the attention. Honestly, let's be real. Here, even if I kissed him, he'd still be a frog. Another round of laughter, sharper this time. Stop, Daisy. Emily gasped between giggles, nudging my arm. "You're so mean, but not wrong." Jake chimed in, like, "Where's the glow-up? Where's the transformation? At least in the movie, the frog turns into a prince, but not this one," I said, shaking my head with exaggerated pity. Poor Phillips just stuck like that. More laughter, more amusement at Philip's expense. I didn't even glance at him. Not really. I was too caught up in the moment, too focused on the validation of making everyone laugh, but then the energy in the room shifted. The laughter started to fade. Awkward silence creeping in at the edges. I saw it in the way Emily suddenly looked down at her drink, and how Jake cleared his throat, and how the easy amusement drained from everyone's expressions, one by one. And then I saw Philip. He wasn't laughing, he wasn't smiling, he was just staring at me. It was like I had crossed an invisible line I hadn't even realized was there. The laughter started to fade, replaced by an awkward, uncomfortable silence. Our friends were slowly realizing how messed up it was. But I didn't stop. I thought I could just brush it off, move on to another joke, steer the conversation elsewhere, and then I saw Philip's face. He wasn't laughing, he wasn't even smiling, he just sat there staring at me, his eyes hard in a way I had never seen before. Then before I could say another word, Philip stood up. I'll never forget the sound of his chair scraping against the floor as he pushed it back. The room went completely silent. Everyone turned to look at him, and the awkwardness thickened into something even heavier. And then he said, "It shut up." Philip had never spoken to me like that before. Philip's voice was calm, but the hurt and anger beneath it were unmistakable. He said he was done. Done with me being cruel. Done with the endless mocking. Done with being treated like a joke by the one person who was supposed to love him. And then he said something that hit me like a punch to the gut. "If you don't like how I look, then why are you with me?" The words hung in the air, heavy and final. I had always believed deep down that no matter how much I teased him, no matter how far I pushed, Philip would never leave. I thought he would always brush it off, always endure it. But hearing him say that in front of everyone made it feel real in a way it never had before. Maybe this was it. Maybe I had finally pushed him too far. His voice didn't rise, but every word carried the weight of years of silent tolerance. He said he was tired of always being the punchline, tired of being mocked by the person he loved, tired of pretending it didn't hurt. He admitted he knew he wasn't the best-looking guy in the room. That wasn't news to him. He had come to terms with it a long time ago. But what he had come to terms with, what broke him, was that the one person who was supposed to love and support him was the same person who made him feel like he wasn't enough. The room fell into an unbearable silence. Our friends who had laughed just moments ago now stared at their drinks or shifted awkwardly in their seats. No one spoke. No one even looked at me. And in that silence I felt the full weight of what I had done. I wanted to say something, anything, but my mind went blank. The words wouldn't come. I just sat there, frozen, watching him as he turned and walked away. He didn't wait for me to respond. He didn't give me the chance to fix it. He just left. I was too stunned to follow him, too shaken to do anything but sit there replaying everything in my head. I had to catch a ride home with a friend, and the entire way I felt like I was moving in. A days when I got home, Philip wasn't there. I waited hoping he'd walk through the door, that I'd get the chance to apologize, to explain that it was just a joke, that I didn't mean it, but he never came back that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the night over and over in my head. I thought about every time I had made fun of him. Every little jab and offhand remark. I had always told myself it was harmless, that it didn't matter. But it did. I was so focused on being the funny one, the one who could always make people laugh, that I never stopped to think about what my words were doing to the person I claimed to love. I never considered how much they were hurting him. The next morning, Philip came home to get ready. For work, I tried to talk to him to apologize, but he ignored me completely. He didn't even look at me. I told him I was sorry, that I hadn't meant to hurt him, but even as I said the words, they felt hollow. How do you apologize for something like this? How do you take back years of hurtful comments and cruel jokes? Saying sorry didn't feel like enough. It didn't even come close. Philip didn't respond. He just went about his routine, getting dressed, grabbing his things, and walking out the door without a single word. And now I'm left here wondering if I'll ever be able to make this right. I've hurt him in ways I never fully realized, and I don't know if he'll ever forgive me. I know things will never be the same between us. I know I've damaged our relationship in ways that might be impossible to fix, but I have to try. I want him to talk to me, to tell me how he feels. I want to apologize not just with words, but with actions. I need to show him that I understand the damage I've done and that I regret every cruel thing I ever said, but I don't know how, and I'm scared that I've lost him for good, scared that no matter what I do, he'll never look at me the same way again. I don't know how to make him see how deeply sorry I am, how much I regret everything. But there's one thing I do know: I love him and I don't want to lose him. I'm going to wait for Philip to get back from work so we can finally sit down and talk. It's time to be held accountable for everything I've done. I need to apologize properly, face to face, without defensiveness or excuses. I owe him that much more than that, really. A couple of friends have reached out since that night, checking in, asking if Philip and I are okay. I haven't replied yet because, honestly, I don't even know what to say. What do you say in a situation like this? Sorry, I humiliated my husband in front of you all, but we're working on it. I just don't have the words right now, so I've been ignoring their messages until I figure out what comes next. But before I can face them, I need to face Philly. That's my priority. We're going to have an honest conversation. Like adults, like the married couple we're supposed to be. No more avoiding it. No more brushing things under the rug or pretending everything is fine. It's time for me to fully take responsibility, not just in words, but in actions. I don't know how this is going to go. I won't lie. I'm terrified of what he might say, or, worse, what he might not say, but I'm ready to apologize, ready to own my mistakes, ready to face the consequences. I know I can't expect Philip to just forgive me and move on like nothing happened. It's not that simple, but at the very least, I owe him an explanation, a real apology, and the space to tell me exactly how much I've hurt him. Philip came home really late, and I have a feeling it was intentional, like he was trying to avoid coming back. But I waited up and eventually we talked. It was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had in my life. I've never seen Philip like that. No smile, no jokes to ease the tension, just done. And seeing him like that, knowing I was the reason, made me feel absolutely sick. Short version, he wants nothing to do with me anymore. He wants a divorce. Long version, Philip told me he's been putting up with my jokes for a long time because he loved me, because he believed I didn't mean to hurt him. He used to laugh them off, convincing himself it wasn't that serious, but that night at the pre-party, that was the breaking point. He told me it wasn't funny anymore, that it hadn't been funny for a long time. And that's when he realized he didn't want to spend his life with someone who made him feel like a joke. Hearing him say that felt like a punch to the gut. I knew I had messed up, but I didn't realize just how deeply I had hurt him until that moment. Philip opened up to me in a way he never had before. He told me about his lifelong insecurities, how he was bullied as a kid for not being conventionally attractive, how it took him years to build his confidence back up. He said he thought I saw past all of that I loved him for who he was, not for how he looked. But now, after everything, he's not so sure. That hit me like a ton of bricks. I never once considered how my jokes, my remarks were just reinforcing the very insecurities he had worked so hard to overcome. I thought I was being playful, that I was just teasing, but in reality, I was tearing him down, little by little, until I had broken him to the point where he didn't want to be with me anymore. We talked for a long time, but the outcome didn't change. Philip doesn't want to be in this relationship anymore. He's exhausted, tired of feeling like he's not enough, tired of being hurt by the one person who was supposed to love him the most, and hearing him say that, I don't even know how to put it into words. It was like for the first time I fully grasped the weight of what I had done. I hadn't been loving him the way he deserved. I hadn't been the partner he thought I was. I had been so focused on getting laughs, on being the funny one, that I never stopped to think about the damage I was causing, and now I've hurt him beyond repair. I want to fight. For us, I want him to give me another chance, but to be completely honest, I'm ashamed. How do you beg for forgiveness from someone you spent years mocking? How do I look Philip in the eyes and tell him I'm sorry that I want to fix this when I was the source of so much of his pain? I don't even know where to begin for now. I'm moving out. That's something we both agreed on. I'll be staying with my parents for the time being. I already called them, explained everything, and they're sending my brother over to help me pack, and to make things worse, my parents are ashamed of me too. They actually called Philip to apologize on my behalf, which somehow made it all feel even worse. Then they told me they had always noticed my snide remarks, that they knew I was treating him badly, and I lost it. I screamed at them, asking why they didn't say anything. Why didn't they sit me down and tell me to stop? If they knew I was being awful, if they saw what I was doing, why didn't they try to stop? Maybe if anyone had talked to me, I wouldn't have let it get this bad. But they didn't. And now I'm going to lose Philip. I don't want to lose him. I love him, and I'm only now realizing just how much I've taken him for granted. I want to fight for us to make things right. But I don't know how. How do I make him see that? I'm truly sorry. How do I convince him that I can change that? Things can be different. How do I get him to look past all the pain I've caused and give me another chance? I don't know what to do. I've messed up so badly, and now I'm terrified that it's too late to fix it. I suggested therapy. I suggested couples counseling. I begged him to consider anything that could help us work things out, but he refused flat out. Refused. So eventually I moved out. I'm staying at my parents' house now, and I hate it. Every time I walk through the door, I'm reminded of just how much I've messed up, and my parents don't make it any easier. They keep repeating the same things over and over. You messed up. This is your fault. You made your bed now, lie in it. I get it. I know I screwed up. I don't need them to remind me. I hate it. I hate myself. I hate everything. It's like I'm stuck in this endless cycle of regret and sadness. I keep replaying that night in my head over and over, wishing I could go back and change my words, my actions. But I can't, and I can't escape this crushing weight in my chest, this unbearable dread. I can't escape the fact that I've lost the one person who meant the world to me. Every day feels heavier than the last, and I don't know how to make it stop. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I was served divorce papers. My heart sank the moment I saw them. I didn't even know how to react. Part of me felt like I deserved it, that this was the ultimate consequence of my actions. But another part of me was just crushed, devastated that it's come to this. I've been crying all week and no one seems to care. My parents don't console me. They just keep repeating how I brought this on myself, how I should have treated Philip better. I know I messed up. I know I made mistakes, but I'm so tired of hearing it. I'm exhausted from feeling this way. I still want to fight for him. I still want to show him that I can change, that I can be the partner he deserves, but it feels hopeless now every time I try to talk about it. I just get shut down. I don't know how to make things right when he's already made up his mind. I just feel so defeated. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm just so tired. Things have gotten so bad that my parents actually signed me up for therapy because they're really worried about me. I guess I should say, thanks, Mom. Your first real show of concern throughout all of this was signing me up for therapy. But hey, at least it's something, right? It still feels like a slap in the face, though. They've spent all this time blaming me for everything that's gone wrong in my life, and now they want to help. So the divorce is finalized. I actually fainted in the courtroom. Yeah, I cringed just thinking about it. It was humiliating, to say the least. Philip panicked when it happened. So I guess there's still some part of him that cares, because he looked genuinely worried when I came to it wasn't as bad as I thought. I think it was just shock, but after that the divorce was officially done. It didn't take long. No debts. No marital assets to fight over. And, of course, I didn't qualify for spousal support since we weren't married long enough. So, that's it. The house is his, and it feels like my entire life is over. I always thought Philip was the person I'd spend the rest of my life with, and now here I am starting from scratch, and on top of everything I have to go back to the workforce. How the hell am I supposed to do that? I can't even imagine going back to a 9-to-5 job. It feels like stepping into an unfamiliar world, and I am not prepared for it. I hate my life. I hate myself. I hate everything about how things turned out. I hate Philip for not giving me a second chance. I hate my friends for taking his side. In all of this, I feel so isolated, like I've lost my entire support system. And the worst part? Philip isn't even as bad-looking as I made him sound. I was just so obsessed with conventional attractiveness that I overlooked everything else that made him amazing. And I hate myself for that. Yes, I regret it. Yes, I feel like the worst person alive. I feel like a complete waste of space, and I keep spiraling deeper and deeper into this pit of self-loathing. My parents keep telling me I need to get a job, but how am I supposed to do that when I can barely take care of myself? Some days, I can't even get out of bed. I feel like I'm drowning in misery, and I have no idea how to swim back to the surface. How the hell am I supposed to manage a job? When I can't even manage my own life, it feels hopeless. Like I'm just going through the motions of existing without actually living. Whatever, I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm just lost. Philip filed for divorce, I guess. I always knew it was coming, but that didn't make it any easier. When I was finally served the papers, it felt like the last piece of hope I had was being ripped away, like a door slamming shut with no way to pry it back open. I wanted to fight. I really did, but Philip was done. He had made up his mind, and there was nothing I could say to change it. The process was fast. Too fast. We split everything. 50-50, our savings, our belongings, everything we built together. I don't even know why I thought he might hold on to, or take more, leave me with less, just to hurt me back. But no. Philip, being the man he is, was fair always. Fair even after everything I did, and then just like that, it was over. The house was sold. The life we had built was dissolved, like it had never even existed. And Philly, he left the country. He packed his bags and moved to Denmark. I keep saying the name over and over in my head, like it'll make it feel less surreal, but it doesn't. He's gone not just out of my life, but out of reach. There's no chance of running into him. No way to fix things, no possibility of seeing him again, and somehow, miraculously making things right. He started over somewhere far away without me, and I'm just here stuck in the ruins of everything I destroyed. I don't even know what to do anymore. I don't know how to move forward when all I want is to turn back time. But time doesn't work that way, does it? Philip is gone, and I have to find a way to live with that. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.